Welcome, students, to another day in the Foods Lab. Today we are all about cooking food for the holidays that are coming up ahead. And there are a lot of different traditional foods that people will cook during the holidays, and maybe you have some of your favorites even at home. I always think that you can't have this winter holiday without having some sort of chocolate and making chocolates, whether you are hand dipping them or whether you are making barks, like which is what we're going to be doing here. We are going to be making what is called a white chocolate peppermint bark. Now, barks basically just are chocolate that's been melted, that's spread out in one sheet, and then it's been broken into several smaller pieces that you then can pick up and eat. White peppermint bark is just using one type of chocolate, but peppermint barks actually can be using two different types or even three different types. I know I see over at Costco all the time right now, they sell a peppermint bark that has a milk chocolate on the bottom, a bottom layer, and then a white chocolate on the top of it. But we're just going to be doing a white chocolate bark simply because of time. I have previously, before starting recording, I have washed my hands, I have read through the recipe, I have assembled my ingredients and the pieces of equipment that I need, and now I'm ready to go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to be working with is something that's referred to as a double boiler. A double boiler is this pan that we've got right here, and it has, like its name might suggest to you, two pans. One pan sits inside of the other one. We use a double boiler. It's the best way to take and make chocolate simply because chocolate is hypersensitive to heat. If you undercook the chocolate, of course, it doesn't melt. And if you overcook the chocolate, some of the most nasty stuff happens. The chocolate, if it's a dark chocolate, will turn white or have white edges on it. Maybe you've seen that happen with old chocolate. It will also turn into grainy, falling apart, yucky mess, and it's really easy to happen if you are just using a straight pan on a burner. You can do it, but it's just a little more tricky. You can also do this in the microwave, but again, you have to really be careful that the chocolate not get too hot. It basically only has to be melty, which is like, what, 90, 80 degrees? You've all had a chocolate candy bar melt on you. So we're going to be using a double boiler because a double boiler will not let the chocolate get really hot. It won't let it get too hot that it's going to fall apart and melt. But working with a double boiler takes a little bit of practice. First off, you can see this double boiler has been made to go together. You can create your own double boiler by using a larger saucepan on the bottom and then a smaller saucepan on the top. The only problem with doing that is you also don't want to get water in your chocolate, because if you get water in your chocolate, it messes it up because chocolate is an oil-based food. So we're going to use these handy dandy double boilers that have actually been around our school for a number of years. I'm going to take out the top of the double boiler, and then using some water that I've previously put just into a pitcher, I'm going to pour in about 1 inch of water. Now I can use ever so nicely my finger as a measuring stick. If you'll take and put your finger in and it comes up to the first knuckle, you'll be just about perfect. And that's where I'm at. The water comes up right here. And I want to double check that it's not too much by putting the bottom or the top of my pan into my double boiler and then pulling it back out. And if it's dry, it's good. Because this is not going to be cooking, the chocolate is not going to be cooking by the water itself touching the pan, but instead by the steam. And if you have the water on the bottom of the pan, the steam is going up the sides and out, and we don't want that to happen. It'll take just a minute for that water to come to a boil, and when it does, I'm going to reduce the heat and just keep it at a simmer so that the steam is not shooting out the sides and burning me. While that's coming to a boil, I'm going to do a couple of prep pieces. The first thing I'm going to do that is not with this recipe, but because we're at school and you are going to be making it today and then getting it tomorrow, is I'm going to get a pen, maybe, or a pencil, and I'm going to just write in my on my parchment paper that you'll pick up from me that this is kitchen number 6, period number 7. You don't need to write your names. I'm going to write my name because I don't have a kitchen number on my kitchen. But I want something identifying who it is that you are on this piece of parchment paper so that I can make sure to get the right peppermint bark back to you. Okay? Place this to the side for a half a minute, and this second step on our instructions right here says that we're going to chunk the white chocolate into medium-sized pieces. Now, if you go to a confectioner or to a chocolate store, you have the choice of buying chocolate actually in big chunks, really huge chunks, more than like at a candy bar or anything. It's going to be maybe 6 inches thick, and they'll just break it off, or maybe you'll buy it in these huge bars. It's kind of fun to see. But the chocolate I purchased for you is called ribbon chocolate, and they have gone ahead and melted the chocolate a little bit already and made them into small pieces. So we don't have to worry too much about taking and getting this into smaller pieces, because, my friends, it already is in smaller pieces. I'm just going to come over here and let's double check. Is anything happening? Ooh, it's starting to get warm. I don't know if you can see the steam from up above, but I'm going to go ahead now and I'll take this chocolate right here and put it into my saucepan. FYI, this again is on high right now, and I'm going to turn the heat to low as I work along. So take this chocolate. It will be pre-measured already for you. This is 1 pound. Or how many ounces is 1 pound? Can you remember? I hope you said 16, because that is correct. And I'm going to put this whole bit of chocolate in here. And no snitching. You'll get that all on Friday. Get to your heart's delight. And then you're going to be playing the patient game. You'll come over here. You can use a wooden spoon. You can use your flexible spatula. I'm using my silicone covered spoon, and I'm just going to be stirring this, trying to get the chocolate that's on the bottom up the top, and let the stuff that's on the top get down to the bottom. Because my pan is hot, I can see that already it's starting to melt, but of course it's not done yet. I'll give that a quick stir, and then I'm going to step away for a minute, and I'm going to do step number 4. Step number 4 is about crushing the peppermint candy. Now, it doesn't matter whether you use candy canes, it doesn't matter whether you use that long stick, really thick peppermint. It doesn't matter if you use the Starlight mints, the little round ones with the red and white stripes on there. It doesn't matter what kind of peppermint that you have. It can be the red and white like this, or it can be the red, white, and green. It's all up to you. When I originally made this recipe, written recipe for you, each candy cane was a ½ ounce. They've made the candy canes just a little bit smaller right now, so I'm going to actually give you 7. I'm coming in here and I'm going to stir this. Maybe you can see in there it's kind of looking kind of sticky. That's because it's melting. And maybe you can hear that I'm starting to get some action in the bottom. I'm not seeing any steam come out the bottom yet, or out the sides yet, so I'm not going to worry about anything about turning down the temperature. But I'm pretty darn close. All right, so back to the candy canes. I've got 7 candy canes for each of your batches, and the hardest part, truly, my friends, is getting the wrapper off. You can break the candy canes to get them out, but get them out and don't leave any of this cellophane on. Because it was hard, I didn't want you to sit there and have to watch me take the cellophane off the candy canes. I've gone ahead and already taken the cellophane off. I've put them into a thicker Ziploc bag, and the way that I'm going to crush them is, you got it, with a rolling pin. Now, you can get too carried away with this, and when you go to crush it, you can turn it all into little teeny tiny pieces like flour, and you don't want to do that. You want to get it so that it's maybe the size of a Tic Tac or a ½ a Tic Tac, kind of smallish, but not super small. Oh, check this chocolate out. It's looking really pretty. You can see it melts pretty quickly once that water in the bottom starts giving off the steam. And right now, again, I don't know if you can see this, but I've got steam coming out the sides, so it's time for me to lower my temperature. And I'm going to lower it to a just below medium. I'm going to keep the simmer going, but I am not going to have it hopefully be coming out, shooting out really strong. All right, so back to this. We're gonna go ahead and crush this. You might wanna cover your ears. I'm looking for the bigger ones and give them a nice little tap. Give that a shake down. Do I have any bigger pieces? I don't want big pieces. All right, I want them to be, the biggest ones no bigger than a Tic Tac. Close to, okay? I think I'm pretty good there. All right, coming back to this chocolate, it looks almost like that. It looked like marshmallow cream a little bit, maybe like a thick frosting. That's where I'm going. I'm just gonna keep stirring that and stirring that. Once this is all the way melted, then I'm gonna stir in my extract and my candy canes. So I am all but there. You can see it's quick to do, quick and easy, kind of fancy and gourmet. Not quite there yet though, but I think close enough. I'm gonna go ahead and take my candy canes. Now you might have put some holes into your bag, so be careful if you have a big hole that you are working around that. And pick this up gently, come over here and pour that in. All right, after we've got it all in there, we give that a quick stir. I'm gonna turn it maybe just a little bit pink. You could even take some of this candy cane, what would be a little bit more fancy, and drizzle a little bit, pop a little bit of it on the top. I might cheat and show you what that is by using another candy cane here in a minute. My chocolate's all the way melted. I can go ahead and take this off my heat, and the last thing I'm gonna do is put in my 1/4 teaspoon of peppermint extract. Peppermint extract, all extracts are fairly expensive. They're very potent. You don't want to overmeasure this. I've got 1/4 teaspoon right here. I'm going to pour this in here. I'm getting it all the way full, so full that I'm kind of nervous to move. Extracts are oil-based because oil will blend with this chocolate, but a water-based one won't, so no imitations because they're usually water-based. And then we'll go ahead and finish stirring this. Now the bottom of my pan is gonna be a little bit hot, but it's not gonna be so hot that it's gonna be like burn you hot. It's gonna be hot though, so be careful with it. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish stirring that in. And now all the lumps that are in there are actually my peppermint candy cane. I will now take my parchment paper. I'm gonna bring it right on over here, and I'm gonna spread this on here. Now I've put this paper or this cloth down underneath for protection from the countertop, but I also don't want to get any water in this chocolate as I put it on. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the center of my parchment paper. I'm scraping this out using that silicone, which is wonderful for scraping things. It does a little bit of a contraction around to the edges. But remember, you've got your flexible spatula too, and you can use that. And then, let's just use it real quick. Can you see? I'm pretty good, but I'm not really great. And now all of a sudden that looks just a whole lot better, doesn't it, when you use that flexible spatula. Scrape as much as you can out. And then let's go ahead, and I kind of like the idea of using the flexible spatula to even spread this out nice and flat. So let's get this all off. And then using this, you're gonna spread it out. Now you can spread it too thin. So I'm gonna try to shoot for it being about 1/4 of an inch thick. And we're gonna get this all kind of around. I'm not going to the very edges. I think that that is about the size I want to go to. What do I have? 1 inch on either side and maybe 2 inches on the back end. And if you get it too thin, when someone goes to pick it up, then it melts in their fingers and they can't even get it in their mouths. Now, one last thing. I told you I wanted to show you. If you'd have just saved, if I would have been thinking a little better, you can take a candy cane, and you're going to have to use some of your crushed candy cane. Pull this off one little lickety split. I'm just going to use some of it, okay? I'm going to put that back in that bag that I had. And I'm going to move this up and out of my way. Come back down here, and with that rolling pin one more time, just going to crush it a little bit. I'm going gonna take this and I'm gonna put it in my hand. I'm gonna make it almost like a garnish. This is gonna help pull out a little bit more color. A lot of that candy cane's color, of course, is covered up by the white chocolate. But if you'll save a little bit of it to go on the top, it just dresses it up just a little touch more. You can put this outside and it would set up, especially here in the winter time. You can put it in the refrigerator or let it sit out on the countertop overnight. And my friends, that is a beautiful white peppermint bark. We'll let it sit up and then we'll get it the next day to break it all in pieces. I hope you enjoy it. Super fun, super fast, a little bit gourmet, a little bit fancy treat for the holidays. Thanks. See you, bye.